All right, welcome back everyone to Assassin's Creed Shadows on PlayStation 5 Pro. So the reason I'm showing you this in the beginning, so that way you know that I'm running this on a maximum quality, high quality, using PSSR, which is a AI-based upscaler to enhance the game visuals and produces the higher quality image from a lower quality source. So what does that mean? That means whatever the source, original source is, this is upscaling it to a much higher rendering. So we are on a graphics quality with a much higher texture detail, and on top of that detail, we're using a much higher resolution on top of it. So textures should look good because we got much higher upscaling PSSR detail here that will enhance that detail on the texture. Remember, in order for you to see the detail on the textures, you need more pixels. You need higher resolution, right? That's what upscaling is. The more pixels, the better the detail. The higher the pixel count, the more detail you see. The higher resolution, the higher the detail you will see. The lower the pixel count, the softer the image is, the lower the resolution is. So that's how that works. All right, so this is Assassin's Creed Shadows. As you can see, it looks really well detailed. One of the things that I always noticed right away is just how sharp it is. And why is it so sharp? It looks so sharp because the PSSR AI scaling, it's sharpening the image on your television. So that way, not only does the textures look more vivid, but also the detail of those textures, it's even more vivid because you're giving this game on your television more pixels to see the detail. And that's the whole point. Now, in order for you to see the detail, you need a television that can support that fidelity of that resolution. This is something that I always said. One of the things about PlayStation 5 Pro is the television. Okay, so why is that so important? Because without a proper television, you are not going to appreciate any of the stuff that I'm just telling you. And I hope I'm not boring you guys with all this mumbo jumbo talk about the technicality of the pixels, right? Which is true. The higher the pixel count, the better the detail. I want to emphasize this. This is very important. It's a one thing to have high textures, okay, but it's another thing to have high resolution to see those textures. Okay, so you could have the ultra textures on this game, but if you don't have the resolution to see the detail of those textures are useless if the resolution is low. You understand what I'm saying? And this is what Digital Foundry is saying as well. In order for you to see the textures, highly detailed textures on this PS5 Pro version, you will need a higher resolution, right? So that's what I've been trying to emphasize early on this video. The higher resolution, the more detail for you to see on the textures. The lower the resolution, the softer the images are, and therefore if the images are soft, it doesn't matter what the textures are because you can't see those details on the textures because the resolution is low, therefore making the image soft. If the image is higher resolution, right? Let's say 8K, 33 million pixels, then you're going to see every little tiny detail on the screen. So that's the whole point of this PSSSR. And I think that's where the PSSSR benefits, okay? To give you the detail of the game. Because otherwise, you cannot appreciate the detail of the game if the game is running at a 1080p source resolution upscaled to 4K. But if the game is running at a higher source, let's say 1600p, and if you got 1600p being upscaled to 4K, then now you have a much higher resolution. So the image will look more detailed. The image will look better. Okay? I used to talk about this when I used to do televisions, and I tried to explain this. And you know what's funny? Even after all these years, you know, people still like don't understand this, and I still have to explain this. You know, people don't seem to understand why, you know, the resolution plays a big part, and why the source resolution is very important when it comes to upscale. What is the source? I don't care that it's outputted to 4K. You know, this is another thing that people always make a mistake. Oh yeah, but my TV says it's output to 4K. Yeah, that's an output. But you need to reach that output to fill in. It's kind of like this. You got a stadium that has 4,000 seats. Now you need to get 4,000 people to fill up those seats. If you only get like 1,200 people, then you're not filling up the entire seats of the stadium. You guys catch my drift? And I try to explain this in a layman, basic terms, and people still don't seem to understand. I don't care what your output is. Your output, it's always going to be 4K. But what is your source resolution? This is where I think Mark Cerny was also trying to emphasize on this, and I think he did a seminar for like 1 hour trying to emphasize on how the PSSSR works and how the scaling source resolution works. We have seen that with the Xbox One X. The source resolution was much higher on certain games, right? When the Xbox One X came out. We have seen that on the PlayStation 4 Pro. The source resolution was much higher on certain games. So same thing here with the PS5 Pro, right? This game looks better because the source resolution is now much higher than what you had with the regular PS5. But people say, well, how important is that? Well, it is important because if you have a higher source resolution, then you can see all this detail. If you don't have a higher source resolution, then you can't see the detail, right, as good as the version of the game that it's outputting that source resolution, let's say a higher pixel count than, let's say, base PS5 at a lower pixel count. But then again, we have to go back to that elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is, well, what's the point of buying a PS5 Pro if you don't have the television to take the advantage of the PS5 Pro capabilities and what this hardware can do? So at the end of the day, you still have to think about
at your command, my lord.
Television. So
What is it?
I already told you, I will have to emphasize this constantly on these videos as I'm testing some of these games. Make sure you invest in a very good TV first. You can't like buy a $400 Walmart TV and then connect it to a PS5 Pro. And you're just wasting your money. Okay? So remember, you're buying a PS5 Pro because you already have a really good TV. I would have never tested PS5 Pro if I didn't have a really good TV. But since I have a luxury of 3 really good TVs that I have from LG OLED, one of them was gifted to me. Okay, because I used to do televisions a long time ago, 12 years ago. So for me, I can actually appreciate this detail because I have the television that can take the advantage of PSSR 2 and the PS5 Pro, what the PS5 Pro has to offer. And I'm recording this in 4K, okay? And then again, you have to keep in mind, even though I'm recording this in 4K, this is still going to be a compressed video image, okay? So what I'm seeing here is much more detailed than what you guys will be seeing. But I figured I'd rather record in 4K than to record in 1080p. So at least I'm trying to give you the best possible resolution. You'll just have to take my word for it that it looks sharper. And the whole point of this video and me testing this is to give you a unbiased look on the PS5 Pro. So for whom is PS5 Pro? PS5 Pro is really for those of you who have a very good TV, okay? And if you have a very good TV, like a really good TV, that's like $2,000, that has like a pretty good, processor in there, 4K upscaling, HDR, Dolby Vision, 2,000 nits of peak brightness with very good local dimming, right? All the bells and whistles. If you have that kind of a TV, or if you have a really good LG OLED TV, then for you, this is it. Absolutely. Now, what if you have a really good TV and you have a base PS5? And you're like, dude, I have a base PS5 and I already have a good TV, and I'm okay with what I'm experiencing right now. Listen, that's a preference. Now you're talking about a preference. This is super expensive. You already have a PS5. Okay? You got a base PS5. And you are already okay with what you are experiencing. Then I cannot justify paying $1,000 for this. The reason I say I cannot justify paying $1,000 for this is because, yes, there are differences. Yes, you are going to notice a difference, but it's not going to be a drastic difference, but there is a difference. Does that make sense? It will look sharper. Certain games that support PS5 Pro Enhanced will look sharper, and some of them will run faster in the performance with the ray tracing. But the question you have to ask yourself, is it worth it upgrading for $1,000 just to take the advantage of that little bit of a higher resolution with ray tracing and 60 FPS performance, 60 frames per second? That is up to you to decide. I can't tell you yes or no because it's a personal preference. Okay? I personally think PS5 Pro, it's not worth $1,000. I personally think PS5 Pro, it's only worth $600. Let's be honest. I think this, like in all honesty, should be $600. And if it was $600, this would be sold out. You wouldn't be able to find this console. It would be in shortage. It would be like a supply and demand. Supply and demand. It would be so much demand and supply. Demand and supply. Supply and demand. You wouldn't be able to find it because everyone would have purchased it for $600. That's one of the reasons why PS4 Pro was so successful, is because it was always available at a very good price. Okay? So, should you pay $1,000 for this? I don't know, man. It's like I said, if you have a really good TV and you got a base PS5 and you are happy with what you have, it is really hard for me to justify $1,000, dude. Yeah, it's a tough sell. Yes, it looks better, but do you really want to pay $1,000 just to have a little bit of a better resolution with a little bit of better performance with ray tracing? Do you really want to? Do you really want to pay that kind of cash? So I don't know, man. Like, I can't really recommend at this price point, and it's not just me. A lot of people are saying the same thing. So what I'm trying to say is this: yes, the console certainly has some power, certainly can do a better fidelity in terms of resolution and performance. Sure, certain games will look better, but keep in mind, it's nothing dramatically better. Yes, it will look good, but for $1,000, man, that's a very huge price that you have to pay. I don't know, man. It's hard. I'm being honest here, man. It's hard to recommend this console at this price point. If they reduce the price to $700, okay, fine. All right, $700. All right, check it out. Whatever. But even at $700, I still think it's too much. I would say $600 is where this console needs to be at. But you know what? $700, fine. If it was $700, yeah, go check it out. See for yourself, But right now, it's really hard. It's really difficult for me to recommend at this price point. Like I said, I'm still testing. It's my first day. There's a lot of games I need to test on this. Yes, I know you have a 2 terabyte. People say, but you get a 2 terabyte. You have a 2 terabyte, storage. You know how much the 2 terabyte costs? I know, $300. You want to buy a 2 terabyte SSD, it's $300. Yes, I understand, but I don't know, man. I mean, like I said, please understand, my opinions will change. But I also want to not look at it from my objective. I have my reasons as to why I want it and why I'm testing it. But I also want to be fair with you guys. I don't want to feed you a bunch of BS justifying this price. Okay? Even Dreamcast guy says, I cannot justify this price. He bought it for $700. Even he is saying it. Every Sony fanboy out there on the YouTube, it's saying essentially the same thing. Like, dude, for $900, man, plus tax for $1,000, I can't justify this, bro. And I'm not gonna sit here and justify it. Because I can justify it. I can't. As much as I like what I'm seeing here, as much as I appreciate all this detail, but there's problems. The problem is the price. Now, it's not bad enough you have to pay $1,000, and then you need a really good TV to take the advantage of that $1,000. So technically, you have to spend $3,000, including a TV, with the console to appreciate this. So you will need a television for $2,000 that can handle a $1,000 price tag of this console. Think about that. Not only do you have to spend $1,000 on this super expensive PS5 Pro, and then you got to spend another $2,000 to take the advantage of that $1,000 console. So you're looking at $3,000. If you're going to spend $3,000, brother, sister, cousin, buy a PC with a 5080 and be done with it. Be done with it. I'm sorry for like maybe being a little bit excited and upset at the same time, because I still can't believe how much they're pricing this console, dude. It's insane. Yes, this is nice. I'm not saying this is not nice. I'm not saying this is not cool. Yeah, this is cool. But dude, if I'm gonna go this route, $1,000 for a console and then $2,000 for a TV, might as well go ahead and buy a PC with a 5080 and call it a day. And call it a day, bro. You guys catch my drift? So I can't justify the price. Is this a great console? Yes, it's a great console. 67% of power, 16 teraflops, PSSR 2, all of this. It's great. But at the same time, like, damn, $1,000. If they reduce the price to 600, this would be the best selling console of all time, dude. The PS5 Pro would be the best console of all time if they would reduce the price to 600. But Sony's not going to do that because they can't afford to manufacture this console any cheaper, so they have to raise the price. But that also begs the question where we are with PlayStation 6. How much is PlayStation 6 going to be? Jesus Christ, whatever that is, 2028, 2029, right? 2030, whatever. Anyway, so I want to end the video here, okay? I'm sorry if I'm rumbling, bumbling, mumbling. I'm just trying to be honest, guys, and my opinions will change. But remember, just because I like it and it works for me, I also have to be honest. Realistically, for everyone else, this is insanity to be paying this kind of cash just for one console, dude. A mid-gen console. And then you gotta have a super expensive television on top of that to take the advantage of it. That's a lot of money, dude. Like I said, the problem with this console is it's between a rock and a hard place. It's between the rock and a hard place, as Sean Connery famously once says. It's between a rock and a hard place. It's a good console, it has the juice, and these games look good. They're PS5 Pro enhanced. But the problem is the elephant in the room. It's that $1,000, dude. Price tag. Plus, you need a $2,000 TV. You're already at the $3,000 just to enjoy the console, dude. To take the benefit of the benefits. Take the benefits of the console. You already have to have $3,000, dude. You can buy a used car. I'm not kidding, dude. Probably a lot of miles on it, but you can buy a used car for that kind. You can buy a PC with a 5080, bro. So, like I said, I will do some more videos. I will do some more videos on the Assassin's Creed Shadows and Spider-Man 2 and Silent Hill 2 and a bunch of other games. My opinions might change. I don't even know if I'm going to keep this console. But I think my verdict will still be the same. It's a great console. It has the juice. But damn, the price tag. I mean, damn. It's insane. It's insane. All right. So look, that's the whole point of this. Me doing these videos. To be honest. Not to feed you BS. Not to justify this console. But to be honest. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be unbiased and honest. And I'm not gonna feed you BS, I'm just gonna tell you what I really think. I'll talk about what's great about it, but then again, I have to mention the elephant in the room, which is the price tag. And also I have to mention another elephant in the room, which is a television. You will need a really good television to take the advantage of this console. These are the things I will have to mention. So please understand that. I'm not gonna feed you BS and say, ooh, PS5 Pro, it's amazing. What's that gonna do for you? Nothing. Yeah, well, what's so amazing about it? That's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to tell you, yes, there's benefits. If you have a really good TV that costs $2,000, and that's the kind of TV you will need, that costs $2,000. And on top of that $2,000 of a TV, now you got to pay for a $1,000 console. And yes, you will take the advantage of a higher resolution, higher performance on frames per second, and a ray tracing. But at what cost? At what cost? You're paying a very high price tag. And if you're going to be going this route, paying this kind of a price tag, might as well go with a PC, right? Get yourself an ultra wide screen and just enjoy the PC. If you're going to be really going down that route, spending this kind of cash. But each to its own, all right? But the reason you're watching this video, because you want to hear it from someone like me. You have heard it from other people, praising PS5 Pro and how much amazing it is, but now you get to hear it from a guy who is unbiased, giving you a different perspective. So this is my perspective, and that's what I'm trying to give you. My perspective versus what's out there from other people praising this console. I don't want to praise this console. I want to be honest with you. I don't want to sound like a salesman selling you. I don't want to do that. I don't want to sell you anything. I just want to be honest. So that way you don't waste your money. Okay? And just because something works for me doesn't mean it will work for you. There's that as well. There's that too. So I hope this helps you a little bit. This is my third video so far on the PlayStation 5 Pro. Okay? And I hope you guys appreciate these videos. I'm just trying to be honest here. That's all I'm trying to do. Unbiased, honest. I pay this with my own hard-earned cash. I'm not sponsored by anybody. Okay? Even though I monetize these videos, but I'm not sponsored by no one. So you're hearing it from someone who spent his own hard-earned cash, $957, and I'm telling you my honest opinion about it. And that's how it should be. So hopefully this helps you out a little bit. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.